They occupy a strange land where fantasy has become reality and reality fantasy.
Hollywood's a town of legends, and naturally legends are hard to die.
There were stars in life, and perhaps their souls have survived death.
I was very cold and very frightened. Call it a ghost, call it what you will, but it was definitely something, and it was there.
Many people have witnessed these ghosts that have returned to Earth as Hollywood hauntings.
Beyond what is known lies an unexplored world of shadows and phantoms. A land that knows no limits of time or space. From the dawn of discovery to the nightfall of catastrophe. Journey to a universe of the unexplained, the unforeseen, the unbelievable. A place beyond reality where no question will go unanswered. A place where myth and legend are law, superstition a science. Travel to a world of secrets and mysteries.
It's time for our journey to begin. You are restless. You cannot find peace. Haunted Hollywood. Knowledge surrounds these library walls. And with these instruments, that knowledge can be ours. When one conjures up images of a haunting, one is apt to see a creaky old mansion or an old castle inhabited by old-world specters. But ghosts can be found in the new world as well, in a magic land literally invented in the last century, Hollywood. And perhaps because many Hollywood residents were larger than life, the spirits that survived them may be equally memorable. These two men are about to come face to face with the unknown in a most unlikely place, the rafters of one of Hollywood's sound stages. What was it? Something best described as a ghost. And here in Hollywood, this seems to be a regular occurrence.
Hollywood seems to have more ghosts than many parts of the country because I feel it has a lot to do with the type of people that populate Hollywood, the actors and the actresses, people that came out here to seek fame and fortune.
A lot of people came here did not have a good time. They ended their lives in tragedy, and those tragedies remained at the places where they occurred.
Some of the more notable haunts would be Jean Harlow in her house in Beverly Glen, the Thelma Todd house in Pacific Palisades where she died a mysterious death. Oh yes, and the Lionel Barrymore house in Beverly Hills has been reported a number of times.
And then there's master magician Harry Houdini.
Well, Houdini is probably Hollywood's most popular ghost. His home in the Laurel Canyon area is certainly considered the most haunted place in all of Hollywood.
Though Houdini was a skeptic, he made a pact with his wife, telling her he would try to return. She never heard from him, but others who have walked the ruined grounds of his estate have witnessed strange things, and many believe the ghost of Houdini still searches for his long-dead wife. The movies conquered Hollywood in the early 1900s, and this small village became a magnet for flamboyant, creative individuals. A few became stars, and some of their wealth was transformed into magnificent homes, many of which still survive, though their owners have passed on. In Hollywood today, those homes dot the landscape, and in a surprising number of those dwellings, ghosts are said to be found. Are they the original owners, unable to give up their lease on life? We must investigate. If stars are larger than life, perhaps their ghosts are equally grand. One of Hollywood's most unusual hauntings is said to take place not in a home, but on board a yacht. The ghostly figure, one of Hollywood's greatest legends. He was a legend, an American original. He created a myth out of pieces of his own personality and lived a life that assumed heroic proportions. But John Wayne was a private and complicated man. Off-screen, his life centered around his yacht, the Wild Goose, one of his most prized possessions. And as death neared, Wayne took great pains to find someone to take care of his floating legacy. And that man is convinced that John Wayne has not completely given up his beloved yacht.
I was sleeping in the master stateroom about 1:30 in the morning. I heard a walking up in the deck. Clump, clump, clump.
It's a very long stride and a very sound and very forceful kind of a step.
I jumped into a pair of pants, put on some boots, rushed out the door, nobody in sight.
So I walked over to the back sofa, and it was, the closer I got to it, the colder it got, and I knew I wasn't alone.
It's one thing to sense or hear a ghost, but there seems to be much more going on board the Wild Goose. People have seen this mysterious figure, and their descriptions seem to indicate that this ghost has a name, John Wayne.
The very first time I took a shower, in the shower that John Wayne uses, I was very much aware that there was somebody watching. So I popped out of the shower very quickly with a towel in front of me, and there was an apparition, about 6'4", a very large, tall person.
I was in the main salon one afternoon about 4 o'clock. Walked over to the bar, and I was going to have a cola. I looked in the mirror, and there, standing right by the chair where I got out, right by the main post, with a tall, gray figure. So my first reaction, I guess, was to say, like, hey. As I did so, this gray image just evaporated, just disappeared.
I think he's here because he loved the ship, and he spent a lot of time on it. And I don't think he'd want to leave it.
This was the one place that he felt so very comfortable, a place he loved to entertain. And this was his place away from home where he could be himself.
I think we all have to agree that he's still here. His presence is all around us.
The Wild Goose remains silent and forces us to ask some difficult questions. Does the spirit of John Wayne still exist? Or is it just a memory of the man, brought to life by the subconscious minds of witnesses? What exactly is happening on board the Wild Goose? Does the spirit of John Wayne still walk the decks of his beloved yacht? Seems fantastic, but psychic Hamilton Farmer believes it might be possible.
There are spirits that do wander, that are in that sort of state of limbo, that aren't aware that they are separated from their physical body. In a seance, we're hoping to build up an energy that can be acting like a screen so that any spirits that may be accompanying us today may project themselves so that others may see them.
This metaphysical gathering on board the Wild Goose has brought together Hamilton Farmer and an eclectic group of people. They will attempt to focus their collective thoughts and mental powers, their target, the spirit of John Wayne.
I just find it easier to keep him in my mind by repeating his name over and over and over again.
I hear his laughter a lot, and I get a visceral sense in my body of his sense of humor and his lustiness and enjoyment of life.
I look at his picture and then try to transfer the image from the picture into my mind's eye.
In a seance, anything can happen. Contact, absolutely nothing, or something completely unexpected. And in the case of this seance, the unexpected is exactly what happened. If John Wayne does inhabit the Wild Goose, then he chose to take the night off. But someone or something else did appear.
I was looking at the candle. I closed my eyes. In my mind's eye, coming down the corridor of the ship, I saw the figure of a woman. She stopped at a door, started to go in, changed her mind, continued down the corridor, came to the door. She came in. She was tallish. She had on a long dress, dense gray. The whole figure was dense gray. I was very cold and very frightened. Call it a ghost, call it what you will, but it was definitely something, and it was there. And I had never seen anything like it before.
There is something happening on this boat. It might be a collective fantasy, an example of wishful thinking. It could be just some other phenomena misinterpreted. And maybe, just maybe, it is John Wayne watching over his beloved Wild Goose.
I feel more relaxed here than anywhere in the world because I know that John's looking after the boat and he's looking after me. It's a nice, warm feeling.
Many people who witness ghosts sense that they are friendly, especially if they are thought to be the spirits of men and women idolized in life. But what about the ghostly legacy of a man who created a frightening image on screen? Now in death, it is said that he still terrifies shocked witnesses. Bela Lugosi. Though the name Lugosi became a synonym for horror, in real life, he was an actor whose stereotyped role haunted his entire life, and perhaps his death.
One of the reasons that I decided to move out of the apartment was because there was definitely something living here and strange happenings going on.
A lot of time I would be upstairs in my room. I would hear noise down here. No question in my mind that somebody wasn't here.
Oh, about 3 years ago, I was sitting in a chair and I could see that the cats were trying to get up this pair of steps. And they couldn't get up the steps, and there wasn't anything here stopping them that we could see. And they kept trying to get up the steps, and they would run back down and run back up and run back down. It wasn't a game. I think that it was an entity that was holding them back. And so I got up and started yelling at this entity or force to get out of the place and get out of the way, and then it disappeared.
Because it's difficult to ignore such persistent stories, it's often necessary to send a professional where amateurs fear to tread. And metaphysician Margaret Rogers is an expert at sensing what lies beyond our perception.
The emotion that I find is the energy of wanting to hit out. It's as though the original person was feeling isolated, left, denied something, and wanted very much to destroy, to destruct. It's a projection of that hurt, as though they wanted other people to be hurt too.
Bela Lugosi, feared in life and feared in death. If ghosts do walk among us, why is there no physical evidence? Some say they have concrete proof that ghosts exist. We need to look at this evidence for ourselves. Ghosts, like stars of the silver screen, can be shy and reclusive. But if one is at the right place at the right time, some remarkable things can happen. Why do these Hollywood ghosts appear? Is there something they all have in common?
The people that are the ghosts in Hollywood today are the ones that died at a point in their lives which they weren't quite ready to die, or they were coming back to make it clear the reasons why they passed away.
Just up the street from Hollywood Boulevard is the Magic Castle, a private club whose members included Cary Grant and other Hollywood celebrities. The castle is decorated with disturbing images, but it's in the pub where witnesses swear that they've seen the ghost of the former bartender.
Lauren has been dead for 5 years, and yet every time I come into the pub, I know he's here. I feel his presence.
Others of our employees, or at least one in particular, swears he saw the ghost of Lauren here after he passed away some years ago.
I went down to the English pub, to the bar. I used to go down there a lot to, you know, whatever I had to do. And I turned around, and when I turned around, she was just standing right there, right where he always was, standing behind the bar. Whatever it was Lauren, because I saw him and he was there. And at the time, I just went upstairs and I told all the ladies in the office what just happened, and they all believed me.
Came running up to my office, which is 3 flights up the stairs, white as a sheet. And he said, Lauren is down there. Lauren is back.
And the reason he came back, and he will keep coming back, is to let us know that he's okay, that he found the peace he needed, and that everything is going to be okay.
Eyewitness accounts may be disturbing, but they cannot convince. These photographs are more tangible evidence.
One of the fascinating things about getting ghosts on film is very seldom do they appear in full form. They're usually wispy. They're usually like fog or smoke. But some people seem to be able to do more about capturing a ghost on film than others. There was a man who, whenever he was photographed himself, other objects would appear around him, so that he seemed to be attracting images or spirits or ghosts.
Thelma Moss has spent the past 25 years studying ghosts, including the disturbing case that was to become a Hollywood classic, a woman set upon by the entity.
She said that this ghost, or whatever it was, kept assaulting her and ravishing her, raping her, and she couldn't stop it, and she hated it, and she wanted them to get rid of that entity, whatever it was.
Eventually, she moved to Texas, but not before these photographs were taken.
I have no idea what it is. I just think it's an arc of light that's saying something is peculiar here, but we're not telling you what it is. Ghosts can be very mischievous.
The hills and valleys of Hollywood are teeming with ghosts. They're restless, seemingly unable to give up residence on Earth. Why? Hollywood has given us many images of ghosts, but these imaginary spirits have done much to trivialize one's perceptions of what ghosts might really be. These tattered, silent films were the first in a long line of movies that taught us how to laugh, cry, and scream in the face of the unknown. But something does stalk these places where the men and women who created Hollywood laughed and played. And perhaps there is a reason why these restless spirits still haunt this earth.
Many of the legends of Hollywood, possibly having the fame and all enjoying the good material things of life, you see, they just don't want to let go of it. They still want to enjoy it, even though they are in an ethereal state.
Hollywood's a town of legends, and naturally legends are hard to die. So when some of the legends die before their time, people don't want to let their heroes disappear so quickly, and they keep them alive. And one of the ways to do it is through these sightings and ghosts that supposedly appear. So every major star, and it's probably no coincidence that most of the stars that died early in their life are still around supposedly as hauntings.
Millions of people have lived fantasies through stars. And perhaps those fantasies have become real, replaying over and over in the theater of the mind. Ghosts seem to be lonely creatures, trapped between this world and something beyond. If the ghosts of Hollywood exist, we may be witnessing the performance of a tragedy that for them may never end.
May they find eternal peace.
Secrets and Mysteries presents information based in part on theories and opinions, some of which are controversial.